On World News tonight, it has been a week. The national wound is still raw. In Washington, they say that other attacks had been planned for last Tuesday. The White House effort to build an international coalition against terrorism, not as easy as it sounds. The Bush administration says it will do something for the nation's airlines, hurting financially, and an outburst of patriotism in ways large and small.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, it has really been 7 days, though every time we look at Ground Zero and at the Pentagon, and every time millions of us here and in the rest of the world think of what happened, it seems so immediate. The country has been wrapped up in this disaster in every imaginable way. 7 days from this to this. And as the result of all the violence last Tuesday, 5,807 people are missing or dead. This morning, in many places at the moment it happened, including the White House, there was a moment of silence. On many of the country's radio stations, there was silence for a moment. And then the country went on. We learn something, often something small or incremental, every hour. Today, the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Bob Graham of Florida, said that the attacks last Tuesday were part of a larger plan. And the Attorney General said today there was a possibility that terrorists planned to hijack more than 4 planes last Tuesday. So we begin with the state of the investigation as best we know it. Here's ABC's Brian Ross. Brian?
Peter, people at the FBI say their massive investigation has developed substantial leads, including a suspect list of some 190 people, 37 of them flight trained. FBI agents are investigating whether there were other terrorists with other plans on that day a week ago.
We are looking at the possibility that there may have been more than 4 planes targeted for hijacking.
For example, the investigation has led the FBI to issue a warning to the pilots of crop dusters to be on the lookout for suspicious activity. And no such planes are allowed near the country's 30 largest cities. Out of apparent fear, a chemical attack of some kind could be launched. Law enforcement authorities in a number of states also have been told that a possible terrorist strike might be carried out using a fire truck or ambulance loaded with explosives. And FBI agents are investigating whether terrorists had already booked seats on at least one future flight on September 22nd out of San Antonio, Texas, a flight that has now been canceled.
We do believe that there are associates of the hijackers that have connections to terrorist organizations that may still be in the United States.
Meanwhile, federal prosecutors, working out of this suburban New York courthouse in White Plains, quietly arraigned at least 4 people yesterday on material witness charges. One of them, a known associate of Osama bin Laden, who was taken into custody August 17th after a flight school in Minnesota became suspicious. In total, some 75 people are now being held, mostly on immigration charges, and a number of them, including this man in Arkansas, have been or are being brought to New York for questioning. Investigators tell us they have established clear leads between some of the hijackers and Osama bin Laden, and there's one other connection people in Washington are trying to figure out. Government sources told us today that last summer, one of the hijackers, Mohammed Atta, met in Central Europe with an Iraqi intelligence officials. But officials don't know if that has anything to do with last week's attacks.
Thanks, Brian. Brian Ross.